and welcome back. I am Daniela from Divine Style. All things health, beauty, hair, fashion, lifestyle, and of course with a ballroom twist. So guys, welcome back to another Divine Style makeup tutorial. I've called this look Spotlight Pink, and the reason that it's called Spotlight Pink is because I've created the illusion that we've got this really bright, beautiful spotlight hitting the center of the eye and reflecting loads of light back. So if you want to learn how to create this look, then this video is for you. Keep watching. If you like this little funky number, this has been handmade. She literally creates the most beautiful headwear. She does all sorts of things, from headbands to hairbands to hair clips. I will link her Instagram account below. Let's get to it. As always, I've already done my brows off camera, but I will leave a link to my brow video just up above, so when you get a chance, please check that out. The base I'm using today is the P.LOUISE base in the shade 2. However, any base that you've got will do. So that I can carve out my brows, I'm taking the Morphe brush, the M410, and as you can see, this is a very fine brush with a flat edge, and it's really nice and thin, and that's really going to allow me to get a nice carve on the brow. Okay, I'm just going to come in a bit closer so you can see more clearly what I'm doing. Ooh, now we're getting up close and personal. So basically I'm outlining the shape of my brow, and I'm going to bring the base out towards my temple and in between my eyebrows. Taking the MAC 230, and then I'm just going to pat the base onto the skin. Now the purpose of patting is basically we want to try and push as much air into the product as possible, and the process of putting the air into the product is going to help to dry it out. The consistency we're looking for is a semi-matte blend. Now the consistency is actually really important, because if you leave the product too wet, it's going to over grip the shadows that you place on top of the eye, and this is going to result in you having difficulty to blend the product. It's just going to become patchy and cakey, and it's just really going to be quite difficult to blend. The other end of the spectrum, of course, is if you over pat it and it becomes too dry. If it's too dry, the problem that you're going to get then is you're going to find it really difficult to build the colour. Getting the consistency right basically boils down to experience, and you're only going to get that experience by doing it, and you're soon going to learn what's too wet and what's too dry, and eventually you'll get it right. Okay, once you feel that you've got the consistency right, I'm then going to take a fluffy brush. The brush I'm using is the Morphe M441, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to buff the edges of the foundation and blend it into my skin, because if I don't do that, it will start to dry and set, and actually I'm going to have a problem a little bit later on in the look when I'm putting on my foundation. So just buffing and blending that out. Once you've done that, we're just going to repeat it on the other eye. I personally like to carve out the top of my brows, so I'm going to go ahead and do that on both of my eyes, and it's exactly the same thing. Starting off with my M410 brush with a nice flat edge so I can get a really good carve, and then patting it and then blending it away. taking the colour Muse from my Mitchell palette, I am going to create a broken semicircle starting on the inner corner of my eye and up, and repeating on the outer corner of my eye and up, making sure that I don't meet in the middle, because this is where my spotlight highlight is going to be. Now I'm going to take another fluffy brush. This is the Morphe M456 brush, and from the same palette I'm going to use the shade Mr. H. Now I'm going to apply this colour 50% onto the shade that I've already applied and 50% above. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep blending that into the base colour until you can't tell where one colour ends and the next colour begins. Once you're happy with the blend, you can take what's left in your brush and just tease it up into the eyebrow. And just take it out to where you want the colour to end. Okay, to ensure that I've got the full depth of colour that I want for this look, I'm going to basically go back in and repeat that whole process again, layering each colour on top of each other so that it gives an intensity and depth to the look. Someone's at the bloody door. I know who it is, my daughter. Well, the girls are home from school now. What I'm probably going to have to do is just record the rest of the makeup and do a voiceover, otherwise you're just going to hear them permanently in the background. It's life, my friends, we just gotta go with the flow. Now that the little cherubs are sorted out, we can get back to the blending, just building up the colour in exactly the same process, in exactly the same way as we did before. Dumping and blending the colour onto the eyelid and then blending it out with a soft fluffy brush, and just keep repeating those layers until you feel that you've got the depth of colour that you want for that look. Okay, once we're happy with the blend, it's now time to create our spotlight. And to do that, I'm going to just take the base shade 2 again on my Morphe 431 brush, and I'm gently going to apply that to where I want my spotlight to be, so in the centre of my eyelid. And using exactly the same technique as I did before, I'm going to apply it onto the eyelid and I'm going to pat it down. Okay, once I've created my canvas, I'm going to take a Peaches and Cream pigment in the shade Luxe. I'm going to gently press it into the canvas. Okay, so now I'm going to just blend the spotlight into my shadow, and the way I'm going to do this is just taking a fine brush. I'm going to just zigzag backwards and forwards where the spotlight starts, or should I say where the spotlight ends and the colour starts. And again, this is just so that it creates the illusion of not knowing where the spotlight starts and finishes. Once we're happy with our beautiful spotlight, we can then go ahead and basically rinse and repeat on the other eye. Video bomb alert, video bomb alert, video bomb alert, cheeky little monkeys. Think I'll have a little refreshment and carry on with my blending. that we've done the top of the eye, we're going to do the bottom of the eye. I'm going to apply the P.LOUISE base that I applied to the top of the eye, underneath my eye. I've just applied the base really lightly underneath my eyes. I don't want to emphasise any imperfections, wrinkles. I'm not a spring chicken, you know. Once I've applied the base underneath my eye, I am going to apply the same eyeshadow colours that I applied on top of my eye in exactly the same format. I will be starting off with the colour Muse on the outer corner and the inner corner of my eye, and I'm then going to blend that out with the colour Mr. H, and like I did with the top of my eye, I'm just going to leave the middle bit clear, and that's going to be for my spotlight area. I'm going to use the Morphe 124 brush. I'm taking a small amount of the base. Okay, now we can repeat on the underneath of the other eye. Taking the P.LOUISE blank canvas, I'm now going to apply this to my waterline, and to do that I'm using my Morphe 410 brush. Okay, now we move on to the face, and I'm going to take the Anastasia Beverly Hills in the shade 320N, and I'm going to apply this with my Morphe 439 brush, my favourite all-time ever foundation brush. I'm going to apply the foundation to the outer sections of my face, so jawline, nose and forehead, and I'm going to try and avoid the area underneath my eyes and the tops of my cheek and keep it as light as possible. Okay, so I'm just going to blend this foundation in. And then just using the residue that's left on my brush, I'm going to take that up towards my eyes and onto my cheeks. I then like to just take my Morphe 173. This is a small foundation brush, and it's basically a mini version of the Morphe 439, and I like it because I can get into all the small areas of the face. I can get right underneath the eyes, I can go close to the eyebrows, around the nose, around the nostrils, that sort of thing. Just taken the L'Oreal Infallible concealer, and I have placed it in a triangle in the middle of my forehead, down the centre of my nose, down the sides of my cheeks, underneath my eyes and down to the corner of my nose. Obviously, if you've got a more mature skin, you might want to avoid this step altogether because it will emphasise any imperfections that you've got. And then taking my Morphe 173, I'm going to blend that into the skin. To set the foundation, I'm going to take my MAC Prep and Prime translucent powder, and with the Morphe 527 brush I'm going to set the foundation in place. To contour the face, I'm going to use a bronzer, and I'm going to apply that with the Morphe 405 brush. I'm going to apply it to the usual places: the hollows of my cheeks, the top of my forehead, the edges of my nose and my jawline. For the contouring of my nose, I'm using my Morphe E62 brush. And I'm going to blend that out using my Morphe 173. As you probably know, I like to try and use the same eyeshadows that I used on my eyes for my blusher, obviously a lot lighter, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the two colours from the Mitchell palette. Just as a reminder, the colours that I used was Muse and Mr. H, and I'm going to apply that very lightly using my MAC 188 brush. And I'm applying that to the apples of my cheeks and then lifting it up towards my temple. I like to try and use the same colours, or if not similar colours, to the eyeshadow, as I feel that it just really brings the looks together. I think sometimes the blushes and the lipsticks can really clash. So I'm literally using the tiniest amount of Muse, a little bit more Mr. H, and then applying that. And I like to just bring the look onto my forehead, as this just brings the look all together. And in keeping with consistency, I'm going to take the same Peaches and Cream pigment that I used for my spotlight, and I'm going to use a fluffy brush. I don't know what brand this is, but it's just a fluffy brush which I have in my kit and I love it. And I'm going to apply that to my cheekbones, my brow bone, the centre of my eyebrows, down the centre of my nose, my Cupid's bow, and my chin. I'm going to quickly go off camera and do my mascara and my lashes. I will be back in a jiffy. Okay, so to finish this look, I'm going to apply a nude lipstick, and the colour that I'm going for is the L'Oreal Lip Gloss. The lash that I've gone for is TATTI Lash TL6. Okay guys, that's the end of this tutorial, and I really hope you like this look. If you do, be sure to give this a thumbs up. And as always, if you've got any comments, questions or queries, please pop them in the comments box below, and I will always try to get back to you. If you fancy giving this look a go, then don't forget to tag me on social media, as I love to see your recreations. So that's it for today. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. And until next time guys, I shall see you in the next video.